Hello, welcome to Ozscalemodeling, and welcome to this video, part 1 of the Bandai 1/5000th scale Star Destroyer model kit build. Now, if you haven't already, I'd suggest you go back and watch the unboxing of this kit, so you get an idea of what's involved in the parts and instructions and everything for this. And also, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell so you'll get notified of each update as it comes out during the build of this Star Destroyer. I'm really look forward to building this model and having everybody come along for this ride. So I think we should get stuck into it, eh? All right. So let's have a look what we've got. All right, now let's throw a bit more light on it. It's a bit better. Now, these Bandai kits are extremely well detailed. It's just amazing. Look at that. So we're going to just follow by the instructions on this build from start to finish. And got them here. So what I'll do first is move all this out of the way so we've got some space to work. Okay, so try and show this without getting too much glare on the instructions. And of course, they're upside down to me because I need to show you. So basically, we start with what's on the sprue, all the parts. We know how to cut parts off. Now we go over to the beginning, and the first 2 pages here are all to do with the LED lights. Now, this kit did not come with the lights. I just couldn't justify the price of being more than double for the lighted version. Not only for the fact that the lighted version isn't as readily available, because everybody seems to be willing to pay that price. So I picked this up as the one that doesn't include the lights. And I'm happy with that because I don't intend on lighting this model. So those first 2 pages are relevant to us. Then we go over to here where we actually start with step 1. And step 1 is the base. The base comes in 2 sections with a couple of pedestals which will support the Star Destroyer. And also we've got the little blockade runner that's flying in front and followed by the Millennium Falcon even smaller behind it. You can see how tiny those will be in comparison. So it looks like the first part will be taking these off the sprue and building them. Okay, so let's get on to that. Okay, so we start off with the base here, and these are the only black sprue pieces in the kit. You can including I think a couple of the supports are as well. So just need to take these off. Now, those who follow my videos may notice me using these nippers. These are actually toenail clippers. I find that they work quite well, but they do get blunt now after a while, and then they start to not cut off as cleanly as I'd like them to. So I have actually bought a set of nippers. They're in the mail and they should be coming next week. I was looking at the Tamiya side cutters, but the price for those here in Australia was $70, and I just can't justify paying $70 for a brand name. Pretty much, I think that when I posted on Facebook about what people thought of paying that much for those, I got 100 odd comments saying that you're being ripped off. So I cancelled my Tamiya nipple cutters order, and I went with the new set, which are by Display. Display have very similar looking ones. They're almost half the price, and they also came with a little case sits over them, but we'll have a look when they come anyway. Display is a company I used to buy my sanding sticks, and you may have seen those in one of my other videos where they got all these nice little different graded sanding sticks, which are fantastic. So what I also bought was this cutting mat. This is the A2 cutting mat. My previous green one was the A4, but I figured I needed something a little bit larger, and it's really, really good. And again, Display have really good prices. This A2 was literally half the price of any other A2 cutting mat I could find. It has all the same self-healing properties when you mark it of every other good quality cutting mat on the market. Anyway, I'm not here to sell these things, and just why these videos may look a little bit different with the new cutting mat. If you could see my camera for recording this, I'll actually throw a photo up of the contraption that I'm using as a boom. It's basically a desk lamp that I've taken the bulb and the end off, and I'm using clamps to hold my camera there, and it allows me to swivel and adjust the height and move it forward and backwards as needed, and it does the job. Hey, it does the job. That's all that matters. Okay, so one base from step one of the instructions. Then we'll take off this one, and then there's a little tab piece here which goes underneath and joins the two together. So, and then I think there's a piece on sprue C we have to have a look at. These ones here are the brackets for the Star Destroyer, and it looks like we're using one or both. I'm not too sure. Maybe this one. But anyway, I'll get this cut off the sprue, stand it up neat, and we'll have a look at it. Be back in a second. Okay, welcome back. And there is pretty much what the stand's going to look like with our blockade runner and little Millennium Falcon behind. And so now I'm going to pretty much give these a primer coat. Obviously that'll have to be glued on because that's not going to stay. But yeah, I'll give this a coat of primer and decide what color I'm going to paint this. Really not sure. I mean, obviously the Star Destroyers weren't really down near land. They were so big. So this is probably a view in space. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll figure out something. We'll do something. But these need to be painted as well and detailed a little bit. So I'm probably going to put a black primer over both. Anyway, we'll come back when I've done that. Might as well get this part of it completed. All right, back to you shortly. Okay, well, we're back after the applying the undercoat primer, and I thought I'd just bring out the pieces and we'd have a look at them. So what I've done, I've never used this before, but I've used the Mr. Primer Surfacer 1000. Just picked this up today actually, and I have thinned it with Mr. Color Leveling Thinner, and I probably put about 50% thinner to primer. I can't really give an exact number, but when it's thin enough that it looks, you know from your own experience what your airbrush is going to do, and when it's quite a good flow in the cup, and it seems to be a bit more fluidy, and that's fine. I mean, you couldn't spray this straight out of the bottle, of course. It does need thinning, but it's gone on really well. What I'm really most impressed about was just how fine the actual paint is as it goes on. It's like I've only just done this an hour ago, and it just came out smoothly. It was like spraying water. Beautiful. And you just built it up until you've got a nice coverage. That's something I've thought of was also going to mention, is you don't need to put on your primer undercoat as though it's a base coat. All you want is a coverage for your base coat to stick to. That's it. I mean, I'm not going to be sanding this at all. I'm just going to be spraying over the top of it, and I just wanted something other than the bare plastic for the paint to stick to. So you don't need to put it on thick. You'll see that, look at the difference in these two. Obviously I put a bit more on that than I did on this, but it's not going to make any difference. These are going to be painted black anyway. It turns out I've run out of acrylic Tamiya paint that's black, so I'm going to have to resort, not that it matters, but to the SMS premium black acrylic lacquer. I've used this and it goes down fine, and it's going to look really nice. And if I put a gloss clear coat over this, it'll be a really nice looking black for the base. So that'll be fine. The struts here, I've coated them. Again, just a nice light coat. That's all they need. And it was also to give me an idea of how this is going to go when I put it onto, let me just grab this for a second, when eventually it's going to go on here, because once this whole primer coat goes down, I know now that that's the color it's going to look. I'm happy with that. Obviously a bit more even coated, because what I will be doing is, to get this Aztec look, we'll be putting little bits of tape over little bits of square shapes and so forth, and having that as my base layer on here, for just the first lot of those smaller sections. Of course, on top of that, I'll be using my Tamiya greys, which I haven't decided on which yet, but there'll be another shade go over the top, and then possibly a light white, insignia white, most likely, as the final top coat. But yeah, it went down really well. And also there's our blockade runner with its primer coat on it. And even smaller is our Millennium Falcon down there. And there's also the strut that holds it out. It'll be painted black. All right, so yeah, I'll give this another hour to dry. I mean, this stuff dries fairly quick. And then I'll be throwing on a coat of this. And it's still early in the day here, so 12:30. So it's getting on the afternoon, and may not get the gloss coat on. I'd probably best leave this overnight, and before I do the gloss coat. Okay, but all good. So we'll be back and we'll have a look at see how this is looking once it's got the black on it. Okay, back shortly. Okay, so we're back again. I've done the base coat on here with the SMS acrylic lacquer black. They've come up quite good, so they will be joined together like that. So I still haven't done the clear coat on these yet, but I will be doing that. Also, they've come up good too, and I've also done the bit of red paint. I don't know if you can see that, 'cause it's pretty small. It's a little bit of red paint on this blockade runner. And they're done. There's our Millennium Falcon. Tiny little one there. So what I'm doing now is just figuring out, I want to add a little bit of dry brushing of this. So I'm going to use a flat aluminium, and I just want to dry brush the edges of these just to give them a bit of detail, make them stand out a little bit, and possibly use a bit of gunmetal, but I'm not sure where. Maybe I might just touch on the ends here. Don't know. I mean, I'm just making up stuff as I go along, so yeah, just a little touch there, just to make these things look a bit more, you know, I don't know what to make them look like, but what the hell, that's what we experiment and do. Yeah, so I'll join them together, and then I'll clear coat everything, including the little fellows here. And then I'll be doing to bring out the darker details and make them pop just a little bit. I'll put a black panel wash over them, and they will be done. And then glue these two together, and we'll have our base all ready. Okay, back shortly. Okay, hello, and we're back. It's been overnight since I did the base coats, and they've dried. And well, actually, the clear coat has gone on this morning. I also touched up the Millennium Falcon just a fraction, and I did a little bit of red on our blockade runner there. And I touched a bit of silver in there. So I'm going to give them a sort of a panel wash as well, bring out a bit more detail. So yeah, so I put the connector on between the two pieces here. This one here was the one that goes to the back. I did a little bit, you probably may not be able to notice, but I did a little bit of a dry brush of aluminium just on the edges of this, just to give it a bit of a more of a 3D effect. Yeah, so that's going to go in there like that. And then we're going to need this piece. It's just going to pop into that one there. Like that. That's in. And then we need this, which should go on here. Yep, make sure that's pointing up the right way. Good. Move those out of the way. So they're on. It's looking okay. And these I won't put on just yet, but basically our little blockade runner is going to go in front on here. I can put it on there now and have a look. He's going to go on there, and the Falcon will go behind. That's going to go. Okay. So that's the base done. So now we'll be able to get on with step 2, which is the looks like the top of our Star Destroyer. There's a few little pieces going on the top of that, and around the outside of the loading dock, I think it is at the bottom. So that means this is the bottom piece. We've got top and bottom, I think. Yeah. Okay. Back shortly, and we'll get those pieces cut off the sprue and continue. Okay. Hello and welcome back. So I've started doing these, taking these pieces off the sprue, and I thought I'd just mention these new nippers I've got here. First time using them. They're from Display. Fantastic. They're so light. Yeah, and they cut off pieces so clean. Yeah, it's like I'm just amazed by how well these things work. If you're interested in knowing about these, in my playlist of tips and tricks, there's a video I've uploaded where I talk about these, my new display mat you see here, and also some sanding sticks that I've been using. These ones here. Brilliant. So yeah, go back and have a look in my tips and tricks playlist. I'll try and put a link up whereabouts up here somewhere. And yeah, anyway, I'll get back to this and keep smooth cutting. Back shortly. Okay, welcome back again. And at the moment I've completed all the interior here. This is all done. I've done all the trench bits on the side, which is only 2 pieces. They'll all just snap in there. Sorry about the glare. So yeah, so they're all done all the way along there. There was a bit where they wanted me to put on some black underneath. It comes on a separate bit of paper here. There's also some foil for reflecting some of the light. But because this isn't the lighted kit, it won't be lit up, then I have no need for those. Yeah, so now this section on the instructions, now getting onto the rear engine area, where I'm going to start putting together those pieces until we get to the last section where you drop that, looks like onto the back of here. And it looks as though, yeah, all this can be done, and then towards the end is placing the other half of this, which is still here. This just goes straight onto the top. Once I take all the bits of sprue off there, that will just clamp down on top. So what that's telling me is that I can paint, once I've done this rear engine area, and it's all in one piece, and even before I attach it, I could actually start painting this, painting the side. It doesn't matter if I get overspray in there. Painting this, because that's just going to plonk down on top there. And also painting this as a separate piece as well. And of course, there's going to be the bridge as well somewhere in here. which is that section we haven't built up yet. And again, that all builds up as a separate piece as well to get plonked down on the top of here. So this is my first, well, not first Bandai, but I've done the X-Wing. So I'm still getting used to not touching any glue. It's all been snapping into place really well so far. So yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'll just put this aside and start working on that engine section. And I'll come back when I've completed that, or when we get up to a certain point into that. Okay, back shortly. Okay, welcome back again. And now I've finished where the rear thrusters are. So all these pieces are all together now. You can have a look. All done in there. There's a lot of detail in there, very nice. And these parts connected on. That. So what I'm thinking now, and also in the back of this is for the light kit that just lets the light spread through into the engines. Now I don't have lights, of course, but I will put it in there anyway. It's not going to do any harm. But I don't need it in there yet. And the other thing with these is that, see, when this connects onto here, it's going to connect here, and that connects into there. It doesn't leave much room in there to be airbrushing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint these separate without putting them together. I'll paint them up separate like that. I can do panel wash. I can do some metal color and aluminium, and some marks for the thruster inside while it's all apart. Just makes the parts easier to get to, and they're not so close. So that will be, that's finished now. That's ready to paint. So I'll put that aside with the top half of the Battlestar, Star Destroyer. Yes, what have we got here? Yes, the Star Destroyer. And now I'll start work on the bottom section. I think it is. No, we did the bottom section before. Now I'm going to start working on the top section of it, which has a few pieces to go on. So yeah, we'll start on that. Okay, back again shortly. Oh, one other thing. It's a good idea. The order tells you to put these on and these on, and then put these thrusters in, put these exhausts in. But it's a lot easier when if you don't put these on, to put these in. It's a lot easier to put these in first, because there's not much space to work in there, and they've got to be lined up because there's marks in there that line them up the right way. So it's much easier to do them while they're apart. So if you happen to be doing this kit, yeah, put these in first and these ones in first before you put the two sides on. Just makes it a bit easier. Okay, back again in a second. Okay, back again, and we're done. So everything, as you can see here, is ready for painting. All that's ready to go. That's the base with the loading dock underneath. It's all ready to go. Here we got the top of the Star Destroyer. All this can come, it's just sitting there. That can come off. I just haven't decided whether to paint that on or off yet, but that's all ready to go and paint. I've also got the thrusters and all the engine bits at the back, which I'm going to paint separately so I can get in there and work on them. So they're all going to be painted. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. This is where I'll end this part of the videos, for part 1. I'll be back in part 2 where I'm going to go and put an undercoat on this, and we'll go through the process of getting this painted up and detailed and so forth. All right, so Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If you've got any comments, put them down below. Give us a thumbs up if you liked the video. And I'll catch you in part 2, which will be out fairly shortly, I'm sure. Okay, thanks a lot. See you all later. Bye.